Hey guys, it's Kevin in my review for All Day and a Night. So what All Day and a Night is essentially about is we center on this character, Shakira. He is someone who really had this great life. He was doing everything he can to try to, provide for himself and things like that. And one day after this mishap occurs, he finds himself now in a life sentence in prison alongside his father, who's also this criminal. And basically the rest of the film is us kind of going through his life, seeing what's gotten him to this point and seeing how he can maybe try to turn things around at some point and kind of try to figure out where it all went wrong. So All Day and a Night, I was actually really looking forward to this. I thought the cast here looked really great. I thought that the story definitely seemed like it could have been very intriguing. It definitely, out of the two Netflix films, it's kind of weird because this was the one that I was actually looking forward to more. And the reason why it's weird is because while the half of it, the film I wasn't really looking forward to, really surprised me, this film was not very good, unfortunately. I was not really that big of a fan of All Day and a Night. I think this is a film that could have been really great, but is severely underwritten and goes in a very, very cliche direction that I just really didn't find myself getting into, unfortunately. It really just kind of feels like one of those Netflix films that just kind of dump on there. But we're just going to get into right now. Now, in terms of positives with this movie, there's definitely a lot that there's definitely quite a few things I do like about it. And I mean, the acting here is definitely really solid. Ashton Sanders is really good in this movie. He does a really good job of playing this character that is trying to, just grapple with everything, trying to figure out, where things went wrong. But you also do get to see him, try to just have a better life than his father, because his father's someone who was in and out of prison a lot, and you can see how this has really affected him, and he's doing everything he can to try to get away from all of that. But Jeffrey Wright, man, he really is the big standout of this film. I thought he did a really great job here because it's a very different kind of role for him. This is not a guy that's very straight-laced. This is not a guy that's very articulate. This guy is very much a criminal, but he doesn't really want to be. He's tried to get away from it as much as he possibly can. Because of it, he has a very estranged relationship with his son, and I thought he did a really great job here. He really transforms in this character. He's pretty much unrecognizable here, and I was a pretty big fan of where what he ended up doing in this film. I thought he definitely did do a really good job. So again, I don't think that those two performances are the problem at all. I think they both were really, really solid here for sure. The main issue is really just the directing and the writing, which is just not very good in this film, unfortunately. I think that's the main thing that really does bring it down. The way the film is written, especially, I just don't think is very well done, because right from the beginning, we see the act that goes down. We see what lands this guy in prison. What we don't see is everything that led up to it. And that's a fine approach, going from it that way. Us not knowing what's going on, then giving context later, kind of filling in the gaps, I think is fine. But the way the story is told in basically this non-linear fashion, I think is what really hurts this film, because of the fact that it's really hard to get invested with this character. We're constantly cutting back and forth to him in prison, to him when he was, before prison, when he was, trying to make it as like this rapper and things like that. But then we also cut to him as a child, with him dealing with, his father and all the drug dealings that he was doing and things like that. And it's just not very well told, I feel like. I feel like I'm all for nonlinear storytelling, but I feel like that more than anything is what really hurts this film and what really kind of holds it back for me from being really anything that good. I think that's definitely what held this film back for sure, because I just did not find myself that invested in the story because of that. And I feel like there definitely was a lot you could have done here. The main story, I think, is actually really good. The fact that he's someone that has pretty much been told all his life that he's cursed, that he's gonna end up just like his father, that he can't get away from it, but he's doing everything he can to do that. He's trying to become a rapper. He's trying to have a good life and a good family. He's trying to get away from as much as he possibly can. I think that is a really good, I think that there's some really good writing there. There's definitely a good story to be found in there. I think there's a really good story that you can tell with that, but unfortunately, they just don't really want to dive into it that much, and because of that, when we get to what actually causes this whole thing to go down, you really can't get behind this character. You have a really hard time understanding why would he make this decision? Why would he do that? If he's trying to not be like his father, why does he go in the direction he does in this movie? I don't really know. It kind of just feels like that's what the movie's trying to say. Like the film's about like prophecies and things like that, and I feel like there just was a way more interesting narrative going on here. Everything with him and Jeffrey Wright in prison, it's definitely better than the rest of the film. It's probably the best part of the movie because you really do get to see these two bond. You get to see these two try to help each other out. But the problem is there's not enough of it. I really feel like that should have been more of the focus of this movie. You can still have the flashbacks in there, but I really feel the focus of this film should have been on those two because that's the most compelling elements of this film to me. Not so much what led him to this, because what led him to this is not nearly as interesting as the film really presents it as. There's definitely some interesting ideas in there, but I just felt it was told in a very bland way, and it was also kind of hard to follow again because we're just jumping back and forth constantly, and it just really took me out of the movie. I didn't think it was very well done at all in terms of storytelling. I think that definitely did hurt this film for sure more than anything. So yeah, that's definitely I think the major thing that brings this film down. When it comes to cinematography, I think the cinematography is really good here, especially the way the film opens with the whole with the whole act that brings him to jail. Really well filmed. It's very tense. It's very violent in the way it does not hold back, and it does a really good job, I think, of putting you into this environment. And I think the cinematography is definitely really good here. The contrast between his home life to now his life in jail, I think, is definitely really well done too. And I did like the score of this movie as well. I thought the score was really good here, although the score is by Michael Abels, and this is probably his weakest score to date. It doesn't stick with me like say Bad Education did or Us did or Get Out did. This score is just not sticking with me as much. And maybe it's because the movie as a whole isn't really sticking with me, but I don't know. I don't find myself wanting to go back and like listen to it all that much. It's a score that I liked in the moment, but it's not like the other scores where I can find myself listening to that pretty much any time and I'll get the same impact from it. I didn't really feel that way here really at all. So again, the editing to this film as well is just I don't think very good here. It's honestly one of those things where I feel like if the film was longer and if you get rid of the nonlinear storytelling, I feel like there's a really good film here. There's a really good film here that I think really could have worked if it was handled better than it was, but unfortunately that just wasn't the case. And what we have here is a film that I think is just a real missed opportunity. There's a lot that this film really could have been. It could have dived deeper into the main character's life. It could have been something a lot more effective. But unfortunately, what we're left with here is a film that just feels very surface level. It has ideas that just aren't nearly as well fleshed out, I think, as they could have been. It has some performances that definitely are very strong. But when it comes to our lead character, I needed a lot more from him that just wasn't really there. There was definitely a narrative that they could have told, but the way it was told here just did not really interest me at all. So unfortunately, it's ended up being a very disappointing film for me, and I am going to give All Day and a Night overall a C. So overall, guys, in my review of All Day and a Night, let me know what you guys saw this movie, all of your thoughts, and we'll see you guys in my next video, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.